to talk about some indoor gardening. I'm going to throw some wildflower seeds on some poop. And I'm going to talk about a little bit of composting and just kind of a spring update. And today is April 7th, so we'll get to it. First off, before we go outside and I show you where I've planted some of these or spread some of these seeds, and another area where I'm going to. I just want to show you the packets that I've used. They're just from Amazon. They're $12 a piece. One of them is the Save the Bees. There's all sorts of different, just a crazy mixture of all. I don't know if this will autofocus or not, but there's also this one I've used primarily. I bought, I don't know, 2 of these, 3 of these, and then one of the Save the Bees mix. It's just an easy way to spend, $10, $12 and get as many seeds randomly sprouted around, and the mixtures themselves are made up of different seeds, so they'll bloom and flower at different times throughout the year. And I use them, for pollinators, things like that, but I use it for areas of my yard that I want to dress up or have, that are, socially acceptable as far as beauty. Around my house, I have, kind of a civilized area where when you drive up, it looks like it's manicured and the lawn is cut and this and that. But as far as total area of my land, really a small percentage of it is manicured like that. And then the rest of it is just, permaculture, food forest, just let to go. Just as wild as it can, and that's where I planted my bushes and a couple of trees and things like that. So I'll show you right outside my house. When you come up to it, this is where, one of the, the eye is drawn to, whatever. So we'll head out there and I'll show you that area, and then another spot, another edge where I've just used cow manure that was mostly broken down into mulch. It's only cow manure, so we'll see how these flower seeds, how well they do. I'm going to sprinkle the flower seeds over it, and then I'm just going to cover it with a light cover of wood mulch I've gotten from like a local arborist through that chip drop program. I don't know if anybody's used that, but I got one load that I bought from a local, wood mill, lumber mill. It cost me about $500 to get a dump truck over here, and I've used that for my pathways. A lot of it's got into my compost. But then the chip drop, I actually got 6 dump truck loads, and that's what I'm going to use at a different spot of land that I have. And I'm just going to completely cover with wood chips, and then probably in the fall I'll plant some different shrubs and bushes and trees and stuff like that. So we'll head outside. And here is the area of the house where I've spread all of these seeds. These yellow lilies, I'm not very good at plant names, but the yellow ones and the white ones were planted here before. And I've basically taken one of those seed packets and basically covered this hole. It was all just blank dirt, and I just spread those seeds, and you can see it's coming in. There's probably at least 5 different types of plants that I see, and throughout the year it's kind of one of those things to watch and see how it changes throughout the year, which is a lot of the fun in gardening, in this kind of haphazard way, where you get to see how it changes throughout the seasons. All of these came up along with the yellow flowers all at the same time. And then this clover, whatever it is that's mostly in here, is filling in all the blank spots. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I'm going to use the same mixture on another part of my property, and we're gonna head out over. All right, so here we are on the edge of this building that I bought from the Amish. I just spread about half a truckload of manure alongside of here. I'll flip the camera around, and you can see here just the length of the building. It all had rock, so when they brought this building over, they brought in all sorts of gravel, packed it down. And then that edge was all just gravel, so I filled it up with, 3-4 inches of just manure that I said had already been mostly broken down from the fall at a friend's farm. Just cow manure from Angus cows, whatever that means. But I guess they eat grass, so he doesn't use any pesticides or herbicides or any sort of chemical as far as the killing of life, which is basically what those herbicides and pesticides do. Even those products are, meant to take out, one type of life, like grubs or, some sort of life form they're just trying to take out while the rest of it survives. But it's really gets complicated when you have an animal eating that plant that's been sprayed with that stuff that's still surviving. That chemical's still on that grass or wherever they're eating, so it goes into their body, gets broken down as much as it can, but then it comes out in their waste, which hopefully it just comes through and it doesn't get stuck in their organs or wherever else. So we definitely don't want that in something that we're growing plants in. It's supposed to be a regenerative type thing where an animal's waste can then be broken down by bacteria and be turned into soil where there's microorganisms that our plants can survive in. So, but here I'm just gonna sprinkle probably all 3 of those packets, which is gonna be, I think there's like 50,000 seeds in each one. So it's, as far as being cost effective, for $30 for those 3 packets, and then to cover all that, it seems pretty good to me, because that whole area will be covered with different flowers that bloom throughout the year, and it won't just get covered up in grass. And you can see some of these, of course I don't know the name, but these little purple flowers on the edges of my property. These have come up, which is beneficial because they don't grow very tall. Because I want to stay away from the fast-growing grasses, the long grasses, at least in this part of the lawn, because this is the part where I mow regularly, and I just don't want to have to mow it every week, if I can mow it every couple of weeks. So, and in the future I might probably sow in different other shorter plants that don't grow as tall. But this whole area in the fall, this maple tree, of course, laid down 80 trillion leaves, and I just mowed over them. I have a mulching lawnmower that you can close the side chute, and I just raised it up to its highest level, and I just did a regular pattern around it, not cutting the grass so much, but just the leaves would get caught up, mulched up, and drop down where they were. So and the grass is doing really well. There's a bare patch here from whatever. So it just needs a little bit more diversity in what's actually growing in this lawn in order for it to be, sustainable throughout the year. That way we don't get those dead patches. Because this stuff will grow in, but they need, another 2 weeks of rain and sun for it to come out of dormancy or what have you. So. And that is the plan for today. Spread some seeds, and then I'm going to go in and do a little repotting of some plants. Alright, here we are again. Trying to get this camera to make it so that you can actually see me with some light. Yeah, so I'll flip over the camera, but I just wanted to show you the system I have with my lights, the grow lights, about how much I water it. And then it's kind of successive repotting. I overseed like the smaller planters, and I go up to the next size and the next size. This is my first year indoor planting, so I'm learning a lot as I go along, and I don't want to really pull sprouts. Like if I plant 5 things in a thing and 2 are strong, I just keep those 2. I try to keep as many plants as I can, because you can go to different dollar stores where things are actually $1 and you can get, 5 of them for $1, a big size, potter plant, like this one right here. You can get a big potter like this for $1, and it's plastic, it's durable, you'd always, be able to reuse it over and over again. And really, what it seems to me, even with the little herb kit that I have here, let me flip it around so you can see this herb kit. I thought it was going to be designed to where you could put in, 5 to 10 seeds or something, and then you can keep it in that pot the whole time. Well, that's not. It wouldn't be very smart. They need to be replanted unless you just plant a single seed and a single seed starts, and then you keep that plant. You might have enough room in the dirt to do it. But these little trays are. See all these? Each ridge. Each one of those drains the water out. So you can see the surface of the soil can be damp, but right under that it's all dry. Like I had to replant. I repotted one of these, the arugula, and under 90% of the soil was dry and brown and dead. So getting them started is kind of a cool little kit to get the seeds and stuff, but I wouldn't use those pots again. It's just not. It's not worth it. It drains too fast, and it's too small for the roots to actually have enough room so the plant can grow to the full maturity. So I'll flip the camera. So what we have is a whole lot of stuff. So I've already moved these pepper plants. These are green peppers. I have 2 of these, and they're doing pretty well. Probably give them another week before I think about splitting those. I usually water, I check the soil to see if it's moist or not, but I still have to water probably twice a day. It's in the sun, so it's on the east side. And when I first planted all this stuff about a month and a half ago, there wasn't enough sun, so these lights were definitely needed. Now that we're beginning of April, there's a lot more sun coming through this window, so it's not as needed, but I still do it for these spruce trees. I have a couple of spruce trees are coming up. But you can see this one right here. Ooh, as far as room, it's a little tight here. Let's see if we can get this to... So you see the spruce tree is doing really well. It came up with like 4 of these leaves, or whatever you want to call them. It's not really focusing. But that's doing really well, and I think there's enough soil for it right now. But there's something to be said about planting things in soil. Things just seem to do better in soil. And my goal is to try and get at least these trees, primarily, these spruce trees, to be large enough so they'll actually survive outside. It's really hard for a single spruce seed to be planted in, to be thrown on the ground and then sprout and become a tree. Think of the millions of seeds that a tree gives off, and a handful of them survive and become trees that hopefully a person doesn't mow down. But so that's the idea with most of these, just to get them as big as possible. So you see this here, whatever plant this is one of the herb kits. We got dill here, and then this cilantro. So they've definitely overgrown this little pot. And I thought about a week ago I should have repotted them. But you can tell they're still growing. They're just getting to the end of their, I can't keep the water moist enough below, an inch. I would just have to keep watering it. I'd have to water it almost continuously throughout the day, and I don't want to have to do that. That's just too much input for me. So this will get repotted. This dill and that cilantro. These pepper plants are going to stay for another week. And then these tomato plants, they're all doing really well. I think here we go. They're all doing really well. But but I know they're going to become many times more massive. So I either have a choice of either when I plant these outside to try to cause them to go different directions, right? So then they can trellis up way on the outside, or I try to split them. So when I plant, I might just put them in a raised bed. I'm not sure. But just as anything else, I have a lot of other tomato seeds that the first week of May I'll be planting outside. So this might just be, kind of a trial run. We'll see if we can get these plants to go in different directions and still give off fruit. And these are, cherry tomatoes. So we'll see if they can actually bear fruit, because it was pretty easy to get them seeded and then transplanted into this larger bucket. And that is it for today. I just wanted to show. So here in this rail, I don't know, it's like a decorative box, whatever. I put broccoli in these 3 planters, and you can see that one of them's come up here, and there are 2 here. There's one, yep, this one's finally sprouting, and they came up at different times. There's probably a week in between each one that one would come up and another. Then on this side is the spinach. The spinach finally came up here. Just a little guy. So that's going well. And the broccoli and the spinach are really something I probably could have seeded outside, but I just don't have any raised garden beds ready. They're just not prepared. So, but on the outside of these cups, I just put more of that wildflower mix. So there's all sorts of stuff coming up, which I thought would just be cool. It'd be awesome if there was a way for this broccoli and this spinach to stay in this container, which probably not, because it's pretty narrow. Even if I just took out one, the outside cups and just left the center, the box itself is just too narrow for that big of a plant. So I'll just be able to pull them out, put more soil in there, and probably add more seeds or something like that of wildflowers, and I'll be able to set it outside. It'll just be a pretty little ornamental thing. But I really like the idea of if there's any bare dirt, to cover it with some sort of plant to get photosynthesis going and build up the soil. And because as let's say these all flower and stuff like that, it would be a great addition to my compost or to one of my raised beds when I put them to hibernation, whatever, in the winter, for all that stuff to be food for microbiology and build up the soil as they're it's overwintering. So that's my plan for today. And I'm going to look at my slightly, starting to green out. Food forest in the back, mostly long grasses. But as the year goes by, we'll start seeing more trees spring up, and hopefully all my strawberry plants and blueberry plants will start going, and it'll be fun to watch. I'm back in the backyard, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about compost bins. I have 2 bins that I have filled now. One of them's been going since the fall, and then the extra manure that I had that I put on that other side of the building, I filled up this right bin, and that's starting to heat up now. So the bin on the left is the one that I've been filling with coffee grounds. Most of what I got from Starbucks, I just call them first thing in the morning, like 7, 8 o'clock, and I just ask them if they can set aside some to take my name, and most of the time I come by in the evening and they have 50 to 80 pounds of coffee grounds, and it really doesn't take up as much space as I would think, and I usually just cover it up with wood mulch, and I just do a layering, so it'll be coffee grounds and wood mulch, and then scraps from the house, all sorts of different cardboards, just anything that'll break down, and that is sitting at 100. just over 100. And that's pretty deep down. You can see how long like what, 2.5 feet? That shows you how, I just moved all that last week, about 5 days ago, and it's already heating up. So the top isn't really doing much, but once I flip it over in another week, it should be some pretty hot compost at the bottom. And then this right one, this is half wood chips and then half manure, and that filled up pretty quick. I mean, it was about half of a truckload of, pickup truckload of manure, and then four wheelbarrows full. And then if you can see over there, that's what's left of my wood chip pile. That was one dump truck load, cost $500. That's what I did my pathways with, and what I've done a lot of my compost with. Wood chips take a long time to break down, especially when they're larger chunks. Shredded paper would be best, and shredded cardboard, things like that, kind of like that. Be a lot better, but at least I got a couple of bins of compost working, and I'm happy about that. That's it for today. I just wanted to try out this tripod thing I got going on here, and it seems to be working all right. And see how the sound quality kind of works. My phone's not advanced enough to use a Bluetooth microphone thing, so. But I just wanted to get a video updating what I've been doing and what I got planned for today, and to get another video posted. So thanks for watching. All right, take care.